In this video, I'm going to show you the super simple method that I use to get perfectly cooked pinto beans every single time. And this is the main tool for the job. This is just a traditional style pressure cooker. It's just a real simple device that is just a pot, a lid, and a gasket and a weight, and it's just 4 pieces. It's really simple. Of course, there are electric pressure cookers on the market, many of them referred to as instant pots, and they would work too for this recipe, but I prefer the traditional style pressure cooker. It's much simpler and they just last forever. I love this thing. It's real easy to clean up. You can even throw this in the dishwasher if you wanted to, and that gasket there is just easily replaceable. That'll last for years, but you can just replace that when it wears out. This thing will last forever. But if you have one of those electric pressure cookers, you can do the same thing with that. And I'm starting here with dried pinto beans, as you can see, just a speckled little bean. Got about a pound of pinto beans here in this bag, and this is the batch I'm going to make today, just 1 pound. And these beans are going to double in size when they cook, so just keep that in mind when you're deciding how much you want to make. So with the beans in the pot, I'm just going to add some water. This is just cold water out of the faucet. The amount of water you add doesn't need to be precise, but it needs to be kind of close. Normally I like to put about 2 times as much water as there is beans in the pot. And as you can see in my pot, there's a line there that's there from previous cooking sessions, so I just use that as a reference. If anything, you want to err on the side of too much water rather than not enough. But with the beans and the water in the pot, the only thing left to do is lock the lid on top securely and put the little weight on top there. Turn the heat on high. And it's going to take about 5-10 minutes for the pot to heat up and start to make pressure. And you want to stick around and stay in the kitchen while that's happening. So while I'm waiting for the pot to heat up, I'm going to make a little batch of my homemade chipotle hot sauce here in the blender. This hot sauce is excellent, and if you want to see the recipe for that, I'll put a link down in the description for you. So I just leave the burner on high all the way until the float valve on the handle closes and the weight on top starts dancing and spitting steam. Once that happens, I'm going to reach over and turn the burner down to a simmering temperature. On my dial here, that's about 3. You'll have to determine what that is on your stovetop. And that's going to simmer like that with the valve on top hissing for 15 minutes. I'm going to set a timer and come back in 15 minutes. After 30 minutes, I'm going to come back and just turn the burner all the way off, and I'm just going to let that pot sit there and let the pressure reduce naturally and cool down a little bit, and that's going to take about another 30 minutes. So after the pot has cooled enough so that there's no more pressure in the pot and that float valve has dropped down, then you can open the lid. As you can see, there's plenty of water here in the pot. They're all submerged in the water, and that's exactly what you want. If you open the lid and see that some of the beans are not submerged in the water, you should probably add just a little bit more water next time. You want those to remain submerged the whole time they're cooking. If they're not submerged, the beans that are out of the cooking water are just going to be undercooked. It doesn't necessarily make anything terrible, but the ones that weren't in the water are going to be under. Some people like to keep the cooking water and use it for various things. I don't. I just drain it off or rinse it off. One of the benefits of draining and rinsing the beans is you're rinsing off all of those oligosaccharides that are in the water that have come out of the beans. Oligosaccharides are the long chain sugars that come out of the beans that cause gas. So by draining and rinsing the beans, you're essentially creating gas-free beans. And at this point, these beans are ready to go into your recipe or whatever you're planning on doing with them. I like putting them in a sealable container and just keeping them in the fridge, and I just dip into the container whenever I want to add some to a salad or some recipe. I make a batch like this about once a week, and they keep in the fridge for a week, no problem. So as you can see, these beans are soft. I can smush them easily between my thumb and finger, but they're not mush. They do have some texture to them, and that's the way I like them. If you want softer beans that are more creamy, just cook them a little bit longer. If you want them firmer, just cook them a little bit less than you've seen in this recipe. But that's how I cook dried pinto beans from scratch. I hope you found that useful. Thanks for watching. I appreciate it.